Is your child a natural-born entertainer? Now is their chance to join the most talented youth dance crew in the Mid-South, the Blue Bunch. The Blue Bunch entertains Grizz Nation with their energetic dance routines and even have the opportunity to collaborate on performances with leading artists in the entertainment industry. Kids ages 7 to 17 are invited to show off their skills and personality for their chance to join the next generation of NBA entertainers. Open auditions are Saturday, June 28th. Visit grizzlies.com/auditions now for more information.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
1, 2, 3. Ready, go.
Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedEx Forum, Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedEx Forum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
I'm here. My name is Gary Parrish. I'm speaking to you from Stamford, Connecticut. It's home of CBS Sports HQ. Billy Doyle back in Memphis producing the program. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're getting through the day best you can. And I hope you like rookies with great stories, because the Grizzlies certainly added one to the franchise last night. Cedric Coward, that's his name. We're going to talk about him momentarily. Amazing tale from how he got from Fresno, California to Memphis, Tennessee. We'll dive in a second. First, though, quickly, let me set today's schedule for you. In the next segment, about 20 minutes, Mike Wallace is going to join me. He, of course, senior editor, Grind City Media. He was inside Barclays Center in Brooklyn last night for the first round of the 2025 NBA Draft. I believe he's going to join us from an airport, perhaps LaGuardia. We'll see. Mike Wallace will be here in about 20. Finish talking to him. We'll take a break. Come back, do 5 more things you need to know, at which point we're going to discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories, all of which are going to be connected to the 2025 NBA Draft. Among them, Cooper Flagg, as expected, did go #1 overall to the Dallas Mavericks. We'll spend a few minutes on that. We'll do it in the third segment. Dylan Harper, as expected, went #2 to San Antonio. I love what the Spurs did last night. I'll tell you why in just a bit. Utah called Ace Bailey's bluff and selected him 5th overall, even though he had indicated he did not want to move to Salt Lake City. Interesting development. I'll tell you why I approve a little later on in the show. The biggest surprise of the first round, this is what Portland did with the 16th pick that they got from the Grizzlies. We'll get into that story in the second hour. And the second round of the 2025 NBA Draft, that's scheduled for tonight. Also in Brooklyn, Memphis native Cam Jones is among the best prospects still available. We'll talk about the second round of the draft. We'll do it during a segment we call 5 More Things You Need to Know. Then we'll eventually do GP's carryout, and then we'll call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a lot to get to, but I did want to start with the 2025 NBA Draft, because the first round 2025 NBA Draft, it was held last night. The picks were made, 30 of them in total. The Grizz were supposed to select 16th, but moved up to 11th and used that pick on Cedric Coward, Washington State University. 2 thumbs up seems to be the official review, but Big Bet Bennett, if I'm being honest, I haven't had much time to look at much of the internet. I was talking on camera till about 3 in the morning. Now I'm talking on camera again, for better or worse. So you tell me, what are the streets saying about what the Grizzlies did last night?
I think the streets are feeling positive. I mean, you're gonna have your fair share of haters out there for any move
Are there haters
that's
out
made.
there? You've seen haters.
Oh, dude, come on. Yes, I mean you're gonna have people out there that no matter what kind of moves are made, unless the team goes and gets Giannis, it's a bad move, right? Like, so that's going to be out there. But I think overall pretty positive. I think people are excited about it. I think people are excited that obviously the story that you're going to tell about this guy's journey to get here. But I think, too, just the fact that they had a conviction about a guy that they wanted to go get and they went and did it. I think that's what people are the most excited about. And, you know, we've talked about this for weeks now, and even going back to last season, I think a huge need for this team was a 3-and-D type player, a wing with size that can defend, and he appears to check those boxes, at least in theory. So I'm excited about it. I think the fan base is pretty excited about it too.
It's interesting the way this worked out, because one of the things I've noticed talking about the draft for years now is that it's a lot of words said, a lot of words written about things that never materialize, things that never happen. You end up spending, who knows how many minutes discussing and debating how Donovan Clingan might fit next to Jaren Jackson Jr., and then Donovan Clingan ends up getting drafted by Portland and probably will never play with Jaren Jackson Jr. in his entire life. That's sort of the nature of discussing the draft in advance. It's a lot of hypotheticals that rarely amount to anything. But in this case, in this draft, of the prospects we started discussing once the Grizzlies acquired the 16th pick in the draft, Cedric Coward was right at the top of that list. Vernon spent time talking about him. Jess spent time talking about him. I told a simple version of his story on the show. My final mock draft, CBSSports.com, had the Grizzlies picking him with the 16th pick, but when I talked about it with Vernon a couple days ago, I said that's realistic. It's a reasonable possible outcome, but if I were betting, I would bet that he's not going to make it all the way to 16, and my fear would be that Oklahoma City, rich get richer, would snatch him up at 15. But we spent a lot of time talking about Cedric Coward as a possible option for the Grizzlies in the middle of the first round. And what became increasingly clear, if not to basketball fans around the world, certainly to the Grizzlies front office, is that what we had suggested earlier in the week was true. He's not going to last to 16. So what do you do? And they decided to put together a package, a future first-round pick, 2 future second-round picks, and the 16th pick to move up just 5 spots to number 11, but 5 spots to get the guy that you wanted. Just like you said, Bennett, they identified somebody that they had a conviction about, and then they did what they had to do to go get him. I love it. And the reason I love it is because there are a lot of smart basketball people who also have a conviction about this guy. His story is incredible. In some ways, truly unprecedented. Have you read the piece that Matt Norlander did for CBS Sports last week?
Yeah, I did.
You need to carve out about half your day.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to need to decide whether you want to watch Titanic again or read this Cedric Coward feature.
A lot of words.
You can't do both, all right? You can't do both, not in the same week. So you're going to have to pick. But if you pick Matt Norlander's Cedric Coward story, you're going to spend the next 17 hours learning a lot about a young man that has gone from a place you're not supposed to start at to get to a place nobody saw coming even just a few years ago. if you don't know the story, I'll give you the quick version. Cedric Coward, just the basics. He's a 6'6" guard, 7'2" wingspan. He's 21 years old, from California. Played at Washington State last season and would have played at Duke next season if he would have withdrawn from the 2025 NBA draft and decided to do one more year of college basketball. But he didn't, because he absolutely killed the pre-draft process to the point where by the time last night arrived, there was nothing really surprising about a franchise moving up to number 11 to select a prospect whose college career began at the Division III level. But broadly speaking, that is always supposed to be surprising, that somebody whose college career began at the Division III level was selected with the 11th pick in any NBA draft. And that's the wildest, or at least one of the wildest aspects of Cedric Coward's story, is that the college part of it started in Division III. But before that, again, raised in Fresno, California by his mother and his stepfather. He considers his stepfather his actual father, and so was raised in a two-parent home. Always enjoyed basketball, but wasn't like on a track to anything special. In fact, did not make his high school varsity team. This is just a public high school in California. You know, we're not talking about Mount Verde here. He didn't make his high school varsity team as a freshman. Didn't make his high school varsity team as a sophomore. Like, think about that. If you ever played high school sports or had children who played high school sports, like, making your varsity team as a sophomore is, you know, if you're supposed to be able to do that if you're on track to being a future lottery pick. I mean, I made my high school varsity baseball team as a freshman. I didn't play, but I was on the team, had the jersey. So think about that. I'm totally mediocre in every way. And yet I was on my high school varsity baseball team as a freshman and sophomore, and Cedric Coward could not make his high school varsity basketball team as a freshman or a sophomore. He was playing AAU ball in the summers, but not like for the Indiana Elite or the Mocan Elite or any of these established EYBL, Team Thad type teams. Just little local teams in California. And the summer before his junior year of high school, which is actually an important summer in the evaluation process, he quit his AAU team because he didn't like the way it was going, and just was unhappy with the set of circumstances. But didn't spend that summer, you know, getting individual work done or playing video games. As the story goes, he spent that summer with his grandfather, who he's very close with, building a house for Habitat for Humanity, like hammer, nails, drywall, the whole deal. And really didn't pick up a basketball for weeks. And by all accounts, that was a sort of turning point in his teenage years, like feeling satisfied with accomplishing something like that, building a home with his grandfather, but also the time, little as it was, relatively speaking, away from basketball, sort of reignited a passion for the sport. And so he gets back in the gym and gets to working and actually becomes a very good high school basketball player. But for whatever reason, it does not get any Division I offers out of high school. So he ends up picking a Division III school, mostly for its academics, because this is a smart young man who, you know, he's got all the academic honors that smart young men usually accumulate. So this is a bright guy. Goes Division III, mostly for academics, but really plays well. I think in that freshman year, 19.4 points, 12 rebounds, shot 45.3% from three. So now he's on some Division I radars for some just coincidental reasons. There's a story about a Division I coach being in a hotel and turning on a local television channel and seeing Division I team against a Division III team game on television, and in that game, Cedric Coward happens to be playing and plays well. This coach sees him, remembers him, and the rest, as they say, is history. So he ends up in the transfer portal. He transfers to Eastern Washington, is basically a role player in his first year there, but in between his first year and second year at Eastern Washington, as they are losing players, and it becomes clear based on the current roster construction, Cedric Coward should be a starter next season. He actually goes to his coaching staff and says, do not try to recruit over me. I'm going to be good enough to be the starting here. Don't recruit over me. Don't go try to fill any holes in the backcourt with somebody who's going to play in front of me. I can do this. And they said, okay, deal. Did not get off to a great start, but eventually he really got going, averaging 15.4 points, 6.7 rebounds, shot 38.3% from three. After that season, he actually made himself available for the 2024 NBA draft, and yet did not get an invitation to the Combine, and then did not even get an invitation to the G League Combine, which might not have been surprising to everybody, but it was surprising to him and disappointing. Meantime, his coach at Eastern Washington, David Riley, gets the offer to move to Washington State. So if you're wondering how Cedric Coward ended up at Washington State, this is how. His Eastern Washington coach got the Washington State job. He just followed him there, the same way DJ Wagner, Aduthiero followed John Calipari from Kentucky to Arkansas. So he goes to Washington State, and he believes he should be on NBA draft radars, but the truth is he was not even invited to the Combine or G League Combine a year ago. But he plays 6 games at Washington State, and in those 6 games, he's really good. 17.7 points, 7 rebounds, shot 40% from three. The athleticism is popping. You can start to see it. And then he, in practice, while going up for a rebound, suffers an injury. And when they got imaging on it, it was a shredded rotator cuff and a partially torn labrum in his non-shooting shoulder. Surgery required, season over. Obviously, that's a tough thing to go through. You think you're on your way to the NBA draft. You're finally at the Division I level. You're actually performing well. And then random moment in practice causes you to injure yourself in a way surgery is going to be required, and you're not playing another basketball game this season. Now what? Well, rather than sulk or just sit on the sidelines, he started getting into coaching meetings and was just really a part of the team in ways that, best I can gather, most injured players do not operate within a team structure. He wanted to, if I can't work on my shooting now because my shoulder is recovering from surgery, how can I make me a better basketball player? Maybe it's from the neck up, as they say, and just really starts focusing more on all of the things that can make you a smarter basketball player, better basketball player. And by the time it was time to make decisions, he felt comfortable trying to go through the NBA pre-draft process again. And when he went to the Combine, he measured the way he measured, 6'6", wingspan above 7 foot. He jumped the way he jumped. He ran the way he ran. He shot the way he shot. And he interviewed as well as any player could possibly interview. That is the common review. If you sat down with Cedric Coward and had a conversation, you walked away impressed. You walked away blown away. And it became clear, even though he had already publicly committed to Duke and was planning to play for John Shire next season, it became clear, even if on the day that he committed to Duke, most people thought he would actually follow through and enroll at Duke, it became clear after the Combine he was going to be a first-round pick, and Duke had better start looking for other options. Cedric Coward was never actually going to be a part of that basketball program. Then you get to yesterday, and clearly the Grizzlies had identified him as a priority, decided to go up and get him. And in a perfect world, and I mean the most perfect world you could imagine, where everybody that has been drafted last year and this year becomes everything we hope and think they can be, it's not crazy to think you eventually, not on night one of next season, but eventually sit in FedEx Forum and watch a starting lineup be introduced of Ja Morant and Jalen Wells and Cedric Coward and Jaren Jackson and Zach Edey. Like, if it all works the way it's supposed to work, that is something you could see someday. And though lots of those players have incredible stories, Ja Morant going from small town South Carolina to Murray State to the face of a franchise, Zach Edey being ranked outside of the top 400 of his high school class, becoming a two-time National Player of the Year and top 10 pick. Some amazing stories in that possible hypothetical starting lineup. But I don't think any of them will be more amazing than this Cedric Coward story. And if you go read the 5,000 words that Matt Norlander did on him, some of the quotes in there are really interesting and encouraging, and I think offer a light into why the Grizzlies and other front offices fell in love with this guy throughout the interview process. Like, all the athleticism, jumping, moving, lateral quickness, shooting, all that, the body, like, he has been described as, of all the prospects who were selected last night, nobody's got a better body than him. You know, he's already 21 years old, so he should theoretically be ready to play. All that stuff is easy to see, but it's the other stuff, the way he speaks, the way he talks about himself, the way he carries himself, that really made him the type of prospect you're willing to give up a future first in multiple seconds and a current first to move up just 5 spots to get him. Listen to these quotes. This is something his college coach at Eastern Washington and Washington State, David Riley, said about him. When Matt Norlander asked him just about how wild it is to go from Division III to what we now know as a lottery pick, David Riley said, quote, "It's not wild because I've seen all the work, but at the same time, it is completely crazy." Cedric's ability to see himself in reality, kind of that makes sense, like to himself. He doesn't think he's better than he is and doesn't think things are worse than they are. End quote. And I don't know that I've ever heard that expression put exactly that way before, but that's a fascinating place to be in life if you can ever actually get there. I don't live in that place at all. Like, the idea that you can never think you're better than you are and also never think things are worse than they are. That sounds like a peaceful place to be, a stable place to be. I'm more the opposite of that. Like, there are times where I start to think I'm better than I am, and there are lots of times where I think things are way worse than they are. I got to work on all of that, trying to work on all of that. But according to his college coach, he has a really good sense of self, understands who he is, and understands what he's not. And that's an impressive quality for any young person, basketball player or not, to have. Another source just in the basketball industry told Matt Norlander this about Cedric Coward: "There's an it factor that you can't quantify or put into words. It's a rare combination that I think very few players in this league have. And the ones that have had it, they're the great ones." That's the way they're talking about the young man the Grizzlies used the 11th pick on last night. And then I'll leave you with a quote directly from Cedric Coward, which, if it came from somebody else, like if it came from Shedeur Sanders, people would use it against him. But for some reason, it doesn't come across that way when it comes from Cedric Coward, if you know the rest of the story. And here's the quote: "For me, it's understanding the moment I'm in now. It's still a day-to-day process. I don't care whether I'm projected top 20, top 10. I don't really care. It's use every day to get better. I want to be able to thrive because making the NBA is already hard enough, but staying in the NBA, especially because you've got a new sum of people always coming in, is even harder. And that's my goal, is then to ultimately become the best I can be. And I believe I can be a Hall of Famer." If Shedeur Sanders would have said that a week before the NFL draft, people would have beat him up with that, fairly or not. But for some reason, that quote from Cedric Coward doesn't come across as arrogant. It comes across as a young man who genuinely believes that is possible for him. And that's a tough bar to set, buddy. Hall of Fame's a tough place to get.
Yeah.
But he's already gotten to a lot of places that are tough to get, considering where he was not too long ago. 5'9" as a freshman in high school. Can't make varsity till junior year. Can't get a Division I offer out of high school. And now he's the 11th pick in the 2025 NBA draft on his way to Memphis, Tennessee. I'll talk to Mike Wallace about it next.
You get to the main event. And you hear the crowd. There's some rumblings in the crowd.
Here we go.
They say, "We want truth."
I love how John Cena said when they were chanting, "We want truth." You can't handle the truth.
There you go.
I loved it.
He takes the knee off, boom. Takes the mask off, boom. And it's our freaking truth. God, man, he cost John Cena the match.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
Are you ready? Creed. By overwhelming demand, the Summer of '99 tour returns. July 27th, FedEx Forum. With very special guest, Daughtry. And Mammoth. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Don't miss Creed with Daughtry and Mammoth. The Summer of '99 tour.
The First Ladies of FedEx Forum, the Grizz Girls, are known across the NBA for setting the standard for professional dance and entertainment. And they are looking for dancers to join their team for the 2025-2026 season. With the chance to gain professional dance experience and connect with the Memphis community, auditioning for the Grizz Girls is an opportunity you do not want to miss. Come show up at Open Call Auditions Saturday, July 26th at the Memphis Sports and Events Center. Visit grizzlies.com/auditions now for more information.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals takes it straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. I'm in Stamford, Connecticut for CBS Sports HQ. Was in studio all night last night and deep into the morning. We'll do the same thing tonight for round 2 of the 2025 NBA draft. Mike Wallace, senior editor, Grind City Media. He's about an hour away from me down in Brooklyn at Barclays Center for the first round of the NBA draft, where he witnessed the Memphis Grizzlies use the 11th pick on Cedric Coward. And Mike Wallace joins me now, either from a hotel lobby or an airport lounge. Where are you? Identify your location. Drop the location.
I can drop the location. I was an hour away from you, but right now I'm in Memphis, back in Memphis at the Memphis Grizz Den restaurant at the MEM airport, man. So they let me set up shop here, knowing that we were going to do this especially for your show.
Dig that. Well, you tell him I said thank you, and you also tell him I got a bone to pick with somebody. Tell me if this has ever happened to you. So the other day, when I'm flying up here, And we'll get back to basketball in a second. But like this is a real problem in America. The other day, as I was getting ready to fly up here, my flight was scheduled to leave at, let's say, 11 on the spot departure, 11 a.m. departure. Now, I don't know if you're more responsible than I am, but I always push everything right to the limit. I'm going to sit in the lounge until I know it's a 5-minute walk from this place to my gate. I know that as long as I'm at the gate 15 minutes ahead of time, I'm fine. So I'm going to walk out of the lounge at 10:40. That's my plan. And I know somebody's saying, well, you shouldn't do that, but I've got it all. I've been doing this for a long time. So 11 o'clock departure, I'm taking my time. 10:40, I say, okay, time to go. I walk down there, 10:45. Door is already closed. Everybody's gone. I'm like, what in the world? I look up at the screen. New departure time, 10:55. They had moved the departure time up 5 minutes without letting me know. And it is literally the difference between me getting on the flight or not getting on the flight. Now, in fairness to them, they noticed I was standing out there. They were like, we figured you were here somewhere. And they let me on the plane, so everything's fine. But there was a scenario where I was about to miss this flight because an airline moved it up, like 5 minutes early without notifying me. Is that a problem?
Yeah.
Should I file a formal complaint?
No. You shouldn't file a formal complaint. But the reason why that happened is because you checked in for your flight. So they figured, okay, he's already in here. You know, we're going to just move on. Either he checked in and decided not to come on or whatever it was. But you were in the right spot, just at the wrong time, man. But the fact that they opened a boarding door for you, that's big time. That's never happened for me. Never. And I've been flying a long time.
The person working the counter said, you're lucky they need more ice. They apparently needed to add ice to the plane, and that is why they opened the door again. And then as they opened the door again, they let me slide right through. So shouts to everybody at Delta. But I love Delta. I pay twice as much for every flight just because it's on Delta. I don't know if CBS even knows that, but we pay too much for flights just because it's Delta. I love Delta, but I don't think you should be allowed to just move somebody's flight up 5, 10, 15 minutes without telling them. It almost put me in a bad spot. Let's talk about the draft. You were at Barclays Center last night. The Grizzlies moved up, paid 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks to move up and select Cedric Coward out of Washington State. And I haven't, gone through every corner of the internet to look at the reviews, but I gather it's mostly positive. People like what Memphis did here, right?
Oh, people love what Memphis did because they got the player that they identified. I spoke to 3 other executives from 3 other teams in the league, pretty much as we were waiting for Cedric Coward to come through, the sort of draft circuit. And all 3 of them, where he worked out at, along with Memphis, said that they were going to take him for whatever reason. They felt like he was a guy that identified well. And I could tell you the teams. Atlanta was one, Phoenix was another one, and both of those teams were picking before the Grizzlies had a chance to pick. So the Grizzlies had to jump ahead of a couple of teams in order to secure him. I do think they paid a hefty ransom to get him because depending on how the board shook out, there were a couple of guys that were supposed to go top 10 that slipped out of the top 10. So you would have had your choice of any one of the guys that you worked out recently and wanted, but they clearly identified Cedric Coward as the guy that they wanted, and they went and got him. And, we'll see, when he's actually 100% available to go because of the shoulder recovery. But this is the guy that many teams picking in that range were high on him. They just weren't sure, whether they can make the maneuver to go get him at that point.
We really, Mike, have never seen a story like this. Coming out of high school, no Division I offers, go to Division III, and end up as the 11th pick in the draft after only playing 6 games in the year prior. That's the other thing. It's not like he did 35 games at Washington State and became an All-American. He played 6 games. And played 6 games and wasn't showing up in mock drafts after those 6 games. This is very much a pre-draft process, a byproduct of it. And so when you talk to people around the league or just from your previous experience of covering NBA drafts, just how unique is the Cedric Coward story?
Yeah, and to go along with what you just said, not only did he not have the full pre-draft? He only had 6 games and he wasn't projected. And over the last 6 weeks, this has been a phenomenon. And it's because obviously his workouts have been great, but he hasn't even been able to work out against other quality competition. These have all been 1-on-0 workouts where he's working out by himself. He's not able to go against and get contact yet. So to be able to make this kind of jump without having to be on a basketball court, going up against a Carter Bryant one trip, or going up against Ace Bailey in another workout if he was going to work out with some teams. You know what I'm saying? VJ Edgecombe. Those guys usually hit the circuit and they kind of work out against each other so you can get a fit or a feel for who's doing what. This guy, Cedric, didn't even get a chance to do any of that. Like, he was working out and doing conditioning drills. And so to be impressed with him based on the limited number of games that he's played and the limited opportunities you had to push him all the way to the wall, this says a lot about his character, about his work ethic, about his potential, his measurables, his upside. And, it's not just the Grizzlies that saw this. This is multiple teams see this same thing in this guy, and the Grizzlies were the team that got him. Now, listen, I will be fair on this. And again, we have to be transparent. We've been around in the league in a long time. Zach Kleiman made the same kind of gamble on a guy that didn't work out in Zaire Williams, right? Zaire Williams. And, he jumped up. It looked like the Grizzlies were trying to be smarter than other teams because not any team had him as a number 10 pick, and the Grizzlies went and got him, and it didn't work out. This one, I think, is almost, because his floor is so high in Cedric, that I think this is a no-brainer if he can be 100% healthy and give you a chance to do the special things that he could do.
Right. Like, you're exactly right. There is another example of Zach stacking assets to move into this range of the draft to get a player, and that was Zaire Williams, and it didn't work out. What I'd like to believe is that in that case, they weren't moving up specifically to get Zaire as much as they were moving up to get into that range and thought somebody else might fall, and it didn't happen, and then they just took the best prospect available. But either way, this does feel different. I remember scratching my head about that one. I remember liking this one. And it's not just because I believe that Zach Kleiman makes no errors. And it's not just because I know other franchises were also interested in him in this range. It's because literally everybody I talk to about him has a similar opinion. And there are smart basketball people who had him even graded higher than where he went in this draft. Yes, it's wild to think you can start Division III and be the 11th pick in the draft, but tell me how wild this is. David Thorpe, who's been around this league for a long time, said he would take him second after Cooper Flagg. I believe it was Kevin O'Connor at Yahoo Sports had him in the top 5 on his big board. I know he was top 5 on other people's big boards. So this isn't a divisive prospect. Ace Bailey's kind of a divisive prospect. Jeremiah Fears is kind of a divisive prospect. Yegor Dimon is a divisive prospect. The consensus on Cedric Coward, it seems pretty positive. I'll put it this way. I haven't really heard anybody say negative things except for a lack of tape against true high major competition. But like Damian Lillard had a lack of tape against true high major competition, and that seems to have worked out okay.
Yeah, it worked out fine for Damian Lillard. Playing only 6 college games at the high level worked out for Kyrie Irving, in his 1 year at Duke. But I think what Cedric has done is when he hit the interview circuit, when he hit the draft combine circuit, he nailed it. Like, and that's something that's hard to do. And I think he knew, and I talked to him, I basically spent all night with him, right? So the moment he got drafted, we had to pause a minute because the trade had to become official. But even as the trade was becoming official, he had already started his circuit. And the car wash that they go through behind the scenes with all the NBA entertainment pieces and all the things that they stop and do. So I was with him the entire time. I was in the conference room when he made the call back to Memphis to speak to the reporters there. And just that gave me a chance. Myself, Courtney Williams, our great videographer, Darby D'Angelo, our social media staff, and then Shantany Dedrick. She did a great job. I mean, it was a real intimate setting that we were able to get to know this guy as much as you could in 90 minutes. And to see how he conducted himself and carried himself and the messages that he talked about, I have no doubt that he nailed the interview part of it. And then when you watch his tape, his workout tape, I mean, there's nothing that this guy can't do athletically. At 6'6", he has that ranginess. He has that explosive ability. He can knock down threes and he can shoot the basketball. He can put the ball on the floor. And he just says the right things. He knows the history. He did as much interviewing of the Memphis Grizzlies as the Memphis Grizzlies did interviewing him. He knew about grit and grind. He knew about Tony Allen and what Tony loves to do. He talked about where his fit is. He had ultimate respect for Desmond Bain, a guy that the Grizzlies moved off of to make room for him, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He's done his homework. And when you sit across a guy like that, it stands out among a lot of other lottery picks that don't do as much homework as he's done.
Well, this stood out to me. My colleague at CBS Sports, Matt Norlander, did a 5,000-word feature on Cedric Coward that published last week. I retweeted it last night. If people haven't read it, they should take a look at it. But Matt said, listen, throughout his career, he's interviewed, he would imagine, 400 or so different college athletes, football players, basketball players, you name it. And he said he would put Cedric Coward like in the top 5 most impressive college athletes he has ever spent time around, ever had conversations with. Like that, I never want to overstate it. At the end of the day, this is basketball. It's not an interview competition. It's not an inspiring quotes competition. It's basketball. You got to be awesome at basketball. But the way he speaks about himself, about the world, the way he answers questions, the way he carries himself, that stuff, that does matter to me. That means something to me. Does it mean something to you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, he's done his research. And, everybody, a lot of times, when these guys get drafted and they go through the circuit after the draft and, they take photos and they meet with their families and they do all of these other things, there's a bottlenecking, right? So at one point, you have 5 or 6 lottery picks all in the same room at the same time. And all of them kind of galvanized themselves around Cedric Coward. They were, joking with him. They were talking about facing him. And, I remember Carter Bryant. Carter Bryant was doing his social media booth while Cedric Coward was doing a photo booth. And it was in the same area of the Brooklyn Nets weight room, right? That, with drapes and curtains and everything. And Carter Bryant came over to him and he was like, man, I knew I was going to go before you. And he was like, you knew wrong. You thought wrong, right? That's what you get for reading mock drafts, right? So just the interaction and the banter and all of those kind of things were happening. And then he said, you know what? We're going to see a lot of each other. We're in the same division, man. I'm going to see you 4 times next season, if you stick with San Antonio. So it was like, he already, like his ability to process things in real time and knowledge when he's supposed to just be in awe of the moment because it's draft night. It's a lot of emotions. A lot of guys say things haven't sank in yet. And he mentioned that too. But he also mentioned that, I got to take advantage of all of these opportunities because this wasn't given to me when I started in Division III, just 3 years ago. Right. So, and also the rapport that he already has with Jalen Wells. You talk about not many guys are impressive in terms of how they present themselves. He is exactly how Jalen Wells is. The Grizzlies nailed it with these 2 guys. If you just built what you were going to do in the future around those 2 characters, I think the Grizzlies will be in some great standing with 2 of the youngest, best wing guys that we have.
Last thing before I let you get to baggage claim and get on home. Obviously, he hasn't played basketball in 7 months because of the shoulder injury. I believe Zach was asked about his availability for Summer League last night and said it's to be determined. Cedric added, if it's up to me, I want to play. What more can you add to that?
I think, he's true in that. And when you've seen some of the tape, he showed me some of the tape of his workouts, right? And he either met or worked out with 25 teams since the combine. So, that's 25 teams in almost a month, right? Or a month and a half. And, you see some of the workouts that he was able to do because he wanted to show that physically he's right where he needs to be. The only hindrance right now is that do you want to have contact on that shoulder when it's unnecessary? Do you want to run him off screens to show that he can fight through screens when it's not necessary right now? I'm not going to project. I would say I would be very cautious with him going into Summer League because he's not just projecting as a guy that's trying to make your roster. He's projecting as a guy that's going to fight Kentavious Caldwell-Pope for the starting shooting guard spot. So if you already know that that's the kind of guy he's going to be, I don't know if we need to see a lot of him in Summer League, especially if he's going to continue to work out and get his conditioning right. I wouldn't test it right now. The Grizzlies are very, very delicate when it comes to injuries, man. We've seen this happen. But if he's able to go, he will go. I just don't think they're going to rush him through a Summer League circuit when it comes to that.
That is Mike Wallace, Grind City Media. Make sure you're getting his stuff at grindcitymedia.com. Follow him on X at my mic check. That's at my mic check. You're the best, buddy. I appreciate you being here. Go get your bags and get on home.
All right, thanks a lot, man. You know this lifestyle, don't you?
That's my life. You're living my life right now. Tell everybody I'll see them tomorrow. I'll see everybody at Memphis International tomorrow. That's Mike Wallace,
right.
Grind City Media on X at my Mike Check. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation about the 2025 NBA draft. Turn our attention to other places. As expected, Cooper Flagg did go number 1 overall to the Dallas Mavericks. We'll start there. That's next on the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South.
What can the Memphis Grizzlies learn from the Thunder Pacers NBA Finals Series?
Your style of play is not something that you really have to change. Both of these teams love to play fast. Both these teams love to play really aggressively on the defensive side of the ball.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Have you always dreamed of entertaining on the biggest stage in Memphis? The Claw Crew is looking for members to join their team for the 2025-2026 season. Claw Crew members are hardworking, high-energy entertainers who assist Grizzlies home games by hyping up the crowd and much more. Not only do they support the Grizzlies on home games, but also promote in Memphis and across the Mid-South. Open auditions are Saturday, August 9th at FedEx Forum. Visit grizzlies.com/auditions for more information and to register today. The Grizzlies, grannies, and grandpas have the right moves and are currently looking for new members to join their team for the upcoming season. These soulful seniors are a fan favorite group throughout Grizz Nation. You do not have to be a grandparent, but you must be at least 50 years old with personality, rhythm, and passion for performing. If that sounds like you, then we want to see you on Sunday, June 29th. Visit grizzlies.com/auditions for more information.
1, 2, 3.
Ready, go.
Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedEx Forum, Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled, and Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either. And that's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays, in the evenings, and even on Saturdays. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in, and Ortho South will take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's OrthoSouth at orthosouth.org. Now I've got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
So let's stay focused on the 2025 NBA draft, where Cooper Flagg, as expected, was selected first overall last night by the Dallas Mavericks, and still was not enough to, at the draft party, prevent Fire Nico Chance from breaking out. Poor guy. Like, it's like supposed to be this magical night for the franchise. Like, it's about to be official. Cooper Flagg's moving to Dallas. And it's like, Fire Nico. It's tough, man. It's tough. It's tough when you trade away everybody's favorite player, a generational talent, to the Los Angeles Lakers. It's tough to overcome that, even when you luck into the number 1 pick. I was asked last night at some point, like, so, you know, how dumb is Nico Harrison now? You know, because, like, if he had Luka Doncic, he might not have gotten the lottery, and if he wouldn't have been in the lottery, he might not have got the number 1 pick, and he wouldn't have Cooper Flagg. And so I hope everybody understands that one has nothing to do with the other. Just because you got lucky after you made a stupid decision does not mean that you did not make a stupid decision, right? I think most people listening probably been to Tunica, if not Tunica, Las Vegas, if not Las Vegas, Southland, somewhere. I think most people understand how blackjack works. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, okay.
The point I'm trying to make is that even if you get lucky after you make a stupid decision, it doesn't mean you didn't make a stupid decision. Think of it in terms of blackjack. You're sitting next to a fella. He's got 19. He's looking at 19. Dealer has a 6. Dealer's showing a 6. Now, the smart thing for this fella to do, just basic blackjack stuff, is I'm going to stay. I'll stay on 19. I'm not going to hit a 19 against anything. Certainly not going to hit a 19 against a 6. All right? That's the smart thing to do. Somebody could, sometimes you get drunk and you don't know what you're doing. Can't count, maybe. Can't count's another problem at a blackjack table. And he says, I hit my 19 against a 6. Now, that is a stupid thing to do, all right? But there's a chance you could get a 2. And if you do get the 2, then woohoo, celebrate it. That's 21. You're going to be fine. But it doesn't mean that the thing you just did right before you got lucky wasn't stupid. And that is the Nico Harrison story. He had a 19 against a 6, and he hit it stupidly, but he got lucky. 21. Giving away Luka Doncic is just as stupid as hitting a 19 against a 6. But you can get lucky after that if you get a 2, or, in this case, a Cooper flag. Tell me what you make of this conversation. I thought about this. I haven't really heard anybody else make this point, but now I've made it about 7 times, so I want to try it on you.
Okay.
Typically, when there is a generational talent, or at least a perceived generational talent in some circles entering the NBA, we have big conversations about, and could he go down as one of the best to ever play? Could he go down on the Mount Rushmore of basketball players? Like we did this just a couple years ago with Victor Wembanyama. You might not remember it, but it wasn't just like he's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft and he's amazing. It was like, how amazing can he be? How many MVPs will he win? Is he going to win MVPs and Defensive Player of the Year awards in the same year? How many championships is he going to bring to San Antonio? Will he be the best to have ever done this? Better than LeBron, better than Michael, better than everybody. Google it. Those are real conversations that happened before that draft. I've heard Cooper Flag described this way. The maybe second best prospect of the past 25 years. Third best, let's say.
Okay.
LeBron James, Victor Wembanyama, Cooper Flag. If you're talking about prospects, that's a good top 3 to start with. You can get to Zion, I guess. You can maybe get to Anthony Davis, but not all number 1 picks are created equal, and this guy is more special than most. I've heard him described that way by basketball people I respect. Here's what we also know. Consensus, no question, number 1 player in his high school class before he reclassified and after he reclassified. In other words, it didn't matter what class he was in. He was the best player in the class, even when he was a year younger than everybody else in the class. Then he went to college, played college basketball in a time where NIL and transfer waivers were keeping some of the best players in school longer. So the sport was older. The sport had 4 of the best 10 teams in the entire KenPom era that dates back to 1997. My point being, last season, it was an extremely high level of college basketball being played, mostly by older players. And an 18-year-old was the best player on the best team and the best player in the country. And I know Florida won the national championship, not Duke, but go to any of the advanced metrics, KenPom being the most notable of them all, and Duke was the best team in the country. Up until Duke lost to Houston, blowing that big lead in the Final Four, Duke was expected to win the national championship, being led by somebody who didn't even turn 18 years old until a few days before Christmas. Youngest Wooden Award player in history. So in high school, regardless of class, best player in the country. In college, even though he's quite literally one of the youngest people playing college basketball, he's the best player in the country and leads the best team in the country in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. And then he's the consensus #1 pick in the 2025 NBA draft. Doesn't matter what franchise was selecting, he would have been the pick. Every bit of that is true. This is also true. You don't really hear people say, is he going to be better than Michael Jordan? Is he going to be better than LeBron James? People, in fact, when they pose questions about him, it's like, do you think he can ever really be the best player on a championship level team? So help me make sense of this. Why? I just told you what Cooper Flagg has been his entire life since we became aware of him. And yet people aren't wondering if he can be an all-time great like that. At least not to the degree we did it with undeniably LeBron, to some level Zion, and absolutely with Wemby. Why, Bennett? You explain it.
Oh, I don't really know. Is it because white guys can't hoop?
I don't know if that is a part of it.
Because white guys can't hoop.
But, like, I bet it's on the list somewhere. It's just people have a hard time imagining an American white player being the baddest dude in the world, right?
Who's the best American white player right now?
I mean, I'm going to forget somebody,
I
but
know,
like Tyler Hero
yeah.
is who popped into my head.
Hang on. Let me pull up all the teams.
But that might be a part of it. I think the main part of it is he's not like this incredible shot creator the way Kevin Durant was coming out of Texas. He just doesn't wow you. Like the highlights. I remember talking last season, I was asked, why isn't the Cooper Flagg buzz where you would think it was going to be? He entered college with all this hype. He's the best player in the country at Duke, and people aren't really talking about him a lot. And the best explanation I could come up with is because the highlights aren't there. He's not popping on social media because he doesn't take 30-foot threes, and he wasn't really dunking over people. He was just, going out and getting 15 points and 7 rebounds and 5 assists and 3 steals and 2 blocks. And then literally later on that night, he had a dunk against Pitt that went viral, and then we were off and running. But I think some of it is he just doesn't pop that way. He doesn't pop in the way that some of these other prospects pop. But I just think that's interesting.
Yeah, Dana. Yeah, go ahead.
This guy has been the best in any group he's ever been in any competition with basketball players. He's always been considered the best. He has never disappointed. He has either met or exceeded expectations at every turn. And yet the conversations about him aren't the same conversations we had about LeBron coming out of high school or even about Wemby coming here from France.
I've done my research. It's either Chet or Tyler Hero or Austin Reeves. It's got to be one of the three, right? It's got to be one of the three.
Yeah, I would say Chet, probably.
White American, yeah.
Like if you could only take one of those players.
Who would you take? You take Chet over Tyler Hero?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you would have to.
Tyler Hero does not believe in history. Okay.
That's true. That is true. God, he set us back with that one.
He set us back
rough. That was rough. He said he didn't believe anything before 1950. Nothing happened.
He doesn't believe anything happened. He said there's no way to know.
Damn.
Tyler Hero set us back, man.
There's photos, dude. Like, I think there's video footage. I think we have video footage, Tyler.
I mean, bro.
Tough.
I mean, it's tough. I cannot let Tyler Hero set us. I cannot let Tyler Hero be the best white American basketball player and also not believe in history. I'm not going to be represented by him.
That's rough.
I'm not going to be represented by Tyler Hero. So I vote for Chet Holmgren.
Okay.
I would rather be, although he can't pronounce basic beer brands, so that's tough.
I'll go Austin, because you know I'm an Arkansas guy.
I know you're an Arkansas guy. I like Austin Reeves. I think I could rock with Austin Reeves.
Yeah, I'll go Austin.
I don't think I would mind being represented by Austin Reeves.
Yeah. Now that Dez is gone, we don't have to worry about that competition. Remember, they've always been compared to each other.
Well, I vote for either Austin Reeves or Chet Holmgren, not Tyler Hero.
Okay.
Either way, most people think it will soon be Cooper Flagg. At some point, very soon, be Cooper Flagg.
Probably.
But I just think that the lack of you would think, I just assumed at some point I'd turn on ESPN one morning and Stephen A. Smith would be like, and he's got a chance to be one of the 3 best basketball players who's ever lived. And I haven't really heard those types of conversations connected to Cooper Flagg, even though those types of conversations, stupid as they might be, are usually attached to prospects who have the accolades that Cooper Flagg has. But whatever.
Number 2.
So after Cooper Flagg went number 1 to the Mavericks, as expected, Dylan Harper went 2nd overall to the San Antonio Spurs. And I know so soon after celebrating Oklahoma City's championship, Thunder Up, it's we didn't want to sit here celebrating another Western Conference franchise's 2025 NBA draft, but I love what San Antonio did last night. They had Dylan Harper, who was, in most people's mind, the 2nd best prospect in this draft. And then with the 14th pick, they had Carter Bryant, somebody I had a top 10 grade on, and wouldn't have minded the Grizzlies selecting with the 11th pick. Like, I'm glad the Grizzlies grabbed Cedric Coward, but if they would have grabbed Carter Bryant, I would have been like, I understand that as well. So, man, look at what they're doing in San Antonio. They got the future MVP in Victor Wembanyama. That's coming, all right? You're going to look up pretty quick, and it's going to be like, oh, yeah, let's stop having these who's the best player in the world conversation, Jokic or Giannis or Luka or SGA. Let's stop that silly stuff. The new conversation, who's the 2nd best player in the world behind Wemby? We're headed there, all right? So they got that. They've got a 27-year-old all-star in De'Aaron Fox. They've got the reigning rookie of the year in Stephon Castle. They just added the 2nd best prospect in this draft in Dylan Harper. You start talking about Oklahoma City's big 3 that they just used to win a title. The Spurs right now in the franchise, on that roster, if it goes the way most people think it's going to go, already have a comparable big 3. Wembanyama, De'Aaron Fox, and either Stephon Castle or the number 2 pick in the draft can develop into a big 3 like that very quickly. So what else do you need? The role players that lead to playoff success. The 3-and-D wings that can switch everything, shut down perimeter players on this end, knock down threes on the other end. Don't need them to ever make a Hall of Fame. Don't even really need them to ever make an All-Star game. You just need them to play that role awesomely the way Mikal Bridges plays that role awesomely. And Carter Bryant in that range of the draft is the best guy equipped to do that.
I did not like that they got him.
6'7", 6'8", long wingspan, good percentage from 3 on standstill threes. Can switch everything, defensive numbers, all the advanced stuff, super impressive. Impacted winning when he was on the court. Didn't play as much probably as he should have at Arizona in his 1 year, but high character, incredible motor, great work ethic, strong family, found everything you wanted. It is unsurprising that the San Antonio Spurs decided this is the guy we want to add to this young thing that we're building. He is perfect for what they're trying to do. And while Oklahoma City is the favorite to win back-to-back titles, we're going to get to a point where the Spurs are either right there with them or pretty close. They're building that thing in an impressive way. Obviously, we'll have to see, Pop ain't coaching that thing anymore. So you don't have that advantage that you had over many franchises for years. We'll see if the new guy can get it done now that his interim tag has been removed. But in terms of roster building, foundation, young pieces, San Antonio, they're putting it together.
Number 3.
Utah Jazz called Ace Bailey's bluff and selected him 5th overall in last night's NBA draft. On CBS Sports HQ, pre-draft, we had an hour-long show, and among other things, I was asked to make a bold proclamation, like, tell me something you think's going to happen that most people don't believe is going to happen right now. And I don't know if it's bold or not, but here's what I said. I said, despite all of the mock drafts, or at least most of the mock drafts, now having Ace Bailey falling out of the top 5 to Washington at number 6, somebody is going to take Ace Bailey in the top 5, either after he declined an invitation to work out for him, or by moving into the top 5 via trade. But I do not think he's going to be there at 6 for Washington, even though they are trying to get him to Washington at number 6. And so Cooper Flagg comes off the board. Dylan Harper comes off the board. Philadelphia was the first realistic spot for him. They had wanted him to work out. He had turned down the invitation, accepted it, and then canceled it. So they passed. They go VJ Edgecombe. Then Charlotte comes on the board. They had wanted him to work out. He declined the invitation. They draft Con Knipple. Now we're at Utah at number 5. They had invited him to come in and work out. He declined the invitation. And according to Jonathan Gavoni, draft analyst ESPN, had made it clear to the people in Utah that Salt Lake City was not a desired location destination. They took him anyway. With the 5th pick, the Utah Jazz select Ace Bailey out of Rutgers. And as soon as Ace went up there, put his hat on, he said all the right things. In the press conference, said all the right things. But I love...
Did he? I thought his press conference was weird.
Well, every press conference he does is weird. He's not good at that. I don't want to. I don't even want to come across as being mean to a teenager.
I get it.
You know, he's a teenager who isn't good at speaking publicly. Well, you know, maybe it's because he's a teenager, right? I once talked to teenage Derrick Rose, and that's a lot different than talking to, 35-year-old Derrick Rose.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So, yes, it was terrible, but they're all terrible. He's just not good at. He's not good at that. He's good at other things, but he's not good at that. He tried to say all the right things, like I'm just happy and blessed, and I'm ready to play, and I'm cool with Salt Lake City, and he did his best. I love this because this is another one where so often I think when people try to think through things, it can be beneficial to just think about it from the other perspective. You've thought about it from this direction to that direction. Now think about it from the other direction. Work it from that direction. See if you get anywhere different. So leading up to last night, you turn on the TV, listen to your podcast. The question everybody was asking was, well, how do you take Ace Bailey if he's already made it clear to you he doesn't want to work out with you, doesn't want to visit you, and doesn't want to play for your franchise? How do you take him? That was the question. And then people go, ooh, yeah, I don't know. That's tough. Why wasn't this the question? How do you not take him? For more than a year, everybody who analyzes these prospects has called him a top 3 prospect in the draft. For more than a year. It's been Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, and people would argue Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper in different directions, but those were the top 3 for more than a year. It was true last July, August, September. Fast forward through the season. We're underway in November. Who's the top 3 prospects? Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey. February, Rutgers is struggling. Who are the top 3 prospects? Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey. Up until a month ago, it's still those 3 guys. And then the way that Ace Bailey handled the draft process led to him falling in mock drafts and people asking questions like, well, how can you take him if he doesn't want to come there? The question you should have been asking is, how do you not take him if you have evaluated him for years and you genuinely believe that he's a top 3 prospect in a draft, but he's somehow available to you at 5, and your other options in your evaluation process that has gone on for more than a year, your evaluations say there's nobody else available that's close to him. Whether that's right or wrong, true or false, your evaluation has led to you believing this is the best prospect available by far. I'm not supposed to take him because he didn't eat lunch with me. I'm not supposed to take him because he's a 19-year-old who thinks he doesn't want to live in Salt Lake City, probably because his inexperienced advisor said, man, you don't want to go to Salt Lake City. Ace Bailey's probably never been to Salt Lake City, probably never been to Utah. He doesn't know what he likes and what he doesn't like, just like most 19-year-olds don't know what they like and don't like. So We're just going to take the prospect we have evaluated as the best prospect. We don't care where he wants to live. That's not how this stuff works. And when we get him here, we'll show him this is the best place for you, and he'll fall in love with this place before he even plays his first game. We're going to trust that, and that is the way to do it. This is not a situation where he had any real alternative options. I don't want to go to Salt Lake City. Okay. They draft you, then what? What are you going to do? You can go be a New Zealand breaker? What are you going to go do?
Right.
You know, what you're going to play in the NBA next year, and based on the way the rules work, you got to play for the team that drafts you. He wasn't going to hold out. He wasn't going to pursue other options. He wanted to be somewhere else, but most players who get drafted by franchises probably want to be somewhere other than the place that they were drafted. That's not unique to Ace Bailey. Perhaps he was disappointed not getting to go with where he wanted to go in his 19-year-old head, but I bet you he'll get to Utah. He'll get settled in. He'll realize that that's a well-run franchise, being guided by smart people, and he'll look back on being drafted by the Jazz, and it'll probably be what they call a blessing in disguise. When it happened, it's not what you wanted, but turns out worked out just fine. If I were predicting, I would predict that's the way this thing goes down.
Number 4.
So the biggest surprise of the first round is what happened with the 16th pick. And it happened because the franchise that traded the 11th pick to the Grizzlies and then was slotted to pick 16th used that pick on a young man named Yang Hansen, a center from China. Had you ever heard that name before last night, Ben?
I did not.
I had, only because it's quite literally my job, and there's always a chance I'm going to be asked to talk about the 7-foot, 250-pound prospect from China, so I need to at least be familiar with the basics. But outside of that, I would have never have heard this name. You could not find a mock draft, not a reputable one, with him in the first round. So, yeah, Yegor Dimon going 8th overall to Brooklyn, surprise on some level, but nothing compared to this. And as always, the preface, this is not what I would have done. I was surprised that they did it. But while I know other draft analysts were sitting in front of microphones last night and scratching their head and screaming, what are they doing? And how could you use the 16th pick on a prospect that was barely in the top 50 on most big boards, and you could have traded down and got this guy later? And anytime you sway really far from what most people have seen on the internet in the form of mock drafts, you are setting yourself up to get criticized and to get F grades and D grades and C grades, because everybody's expectations are based off of what they've been seeing on the internet.
Right.
So when this happens, the internet is right where you knew it would be. This is stupid. Who's running this franchise? A bunch of idiots, so on and so forth. And yet, the point I tried to make last night was, yeah, this seems wild to me, and it's not what I would have done, and I don't think it'll work out in the way that it needs to work out for you to justify spending the 16th pick on him. But let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If in the draft where Nikola Jokic was famously selected in the second round during a Taco Bell commercial, if in that same draft the Denver Nuggets had the 16th pick, and Adam Silver walked to the stage and said, with the 16th pick in this NBA draft, the Denver Nuggets select Nikola Jokic, what do you think the reaction would have been?
People would have said they're idiots.
What are they doing? This guy, I haven't seen him in the first round of any mock draft.
Right.
I barely saw him in the top 50 of some big boards. What are they doing? Are these people crazy? And do you realize if they would have used the 16th pick on Nikola Jokic, if they had it, with the benefit of hindsight, it would have gone down as one of the greatest picks of all time? The reason, not just because you nail a future 3-time MVP with the 16th pick, but because you would have went way, way away from every mock draft big board. and just said, we have a strong conviction about this person in our building. Nobody else seems to see it, but we do. So we're spending the 16th pick on this guy. And then he becomes a 3-time MVP. That would have been amazing. But on the night of the draft, it would have been called the dumbest thing in the world. On the night of the actual draft where he was picked in the second round, it wasn't called anything. Nobody cared. They were in a Taco Bell commercial. Nobody cares when you spend that pick on that player or any player. We don't know their names. We don't know anything about them. We don't expect to ever hear about them again. But if they would have gone up and used that 16th pick on that exact same player, it would have been ridiculed. They would have been called the dumbest front office on that night when, give it 10 years, and they would have looked like the smartest front office on that night. And so I just always try to remind myself of that. On the night Marc Gasol was drafted, did anybody think that was going to amount to anything? Better yet, on the night Marc Gasol was traded to the Grizzlies organization, do you remember what that conversation was?
Oh, it was a throwaway, yeah.
We just got this deal and we got nothing in return. The heavy kid that played at Lausanne, Pal's little brother.
Right. That's why we drafted Hasheem to beat, because we didn't even know what we had.
We didn't know what we had.
Yeah.
In every draft, in every sport, there are examples where people think they see something that's not there or can't see something that's right in front of them. I don't know. And I think all of us would, anybody who speaks publicly about this stuff, you'd be a little smarter if you would introduce that phrase into your vocabulary a little more often. I don't know. We'll see. I could work out. Just don't ever speak in absolutes about this stuff. I could not believe they spent the 16th pick on a prospect from China with slow feet who Sam Vecini, in advance of last night, wrote that he'd have a hard time even considering spending a first-round pick on him because it's just hard to imagine it working with the way the NBA is played today, with big, strong, athletic, fluid athletes all over the court. I was shocked that they did it, but I'm just going to rule it out that it can't possibly work out? No. Because you would have done that with Marc Gasol and you would have been wrong. You'd have done that with Nikola Jokic and you would have been wrong. Often we look at centers who don't look a certain way and we say that's not going to work. But I just gave you two examples of two centers that don't look the way you're supposed to look to be awesome in this league, and they both became awesome in this league. And so I don't guess I am betting on Hansen Young, Young Hansen being the next example of that. But I'm also not willing to rule it out.
Number 5.
Second round, 2025 NBA draft. That's tonight. I'll be back in studio for CBS Sports HQ. The Grizzlies have the 48th pick and the 56th pick. And among the best prospects available, for me, it would be Rasheer Fleming out of St. Joseph's. But on the list somewhere, very quickly, top 5 perhaps, we would get to Cam Jones, the ECS graduate who, of course, played college basketball for Shaka Smart at Marquette. He had some hopes of going in the first round. I think most mocks had him slip into the second. That is what happened. But he should have his name called tonight at some point, and that will be a special moment. A young man from our city who, when he graduated high school, was recruited by Memphis a little, but was never really prioritized by Penny Hardaway and that staff. That's among the reasons he ends up at Marquette, and then had one of the greatest college careers any Memphis high school player has ever had. I mean, he accomplished big things in the Big East, scored a lot of points, and helped his draft stock in his final year of college by playing more on the ball. When he was younger at Marquette, Tyler Kolek was his point guard. And Cam mostly just played off the ball and was sort of regarded as a nice college shooting guard, but not really sure how that's going to work in the NBA. But in his final year at Marquette, with Kolek out of the way, he played on the ball a lot. The shooting numbers went down, but if you trust he can truly be a 6'4", 6'5" combo guard at the next level, and if you believe in the shooting numbers from earlier in his career and disregard the shooting numbers from the last year of his career, well, then you get a useful rotation piece, at least in theory, somebody who's worth a flyer in the second round. So keep an eye on that tonight. Where does Cam Jones go? What do the Grizzlies do at 48 and 56. If you're curious, and you're not, I know you're not, but I'm going to tell you anyway. You go look at my final mock draft, CBSSports.com.
I'm curious.
Thank you. Of the 30 players I had going in the first round, 27 of them got selected in the first round.
Okay.
And every single one of the players I had going in the top 26 was selected in the top 30.
Okay, GP.
The only players I missed on was the players I had slotted 27th, 28th, and 30th. But 27 of the 30, I had them right. If you want to, I'm gonna turn around right now. If you want to pat me on the back.
Now is the time to toot your own horn, man. Now is the time. You think you're gonna do as good in the second round tonight?
I don't do the second round.
Yeah.
I leave that for other people.
Yeah.
I don't have time for the second round. I will be in studio. I don't think I've ever been in studio for the 2 nights. I don't know. I can't remember. But, you know, the draft used to all be in one night. And I think last year we went to 2 days for the first time. And this time last year it was Bronny James. But all the talks about Bronny James, now we don't have any story comparable to that. But Janai Broom, who was a first-team All-American and very famous player on a team that was ranked number 1 in the country for a long time this season, that's a name to keep an eye on. He is expected to be picked somewhere in the second round, but did not go in the first round. Coverage starts tonight, I believe, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. I'll be in studio all night, CBS Sports HQ. We'll be back with GP's Carryout.
There are futures for Aaron Judge possibly hitting 400. Hitting 400 at the All-Star break, plus 600.
Oh, wow.
To have a 400 batting average in the regular season, plus 3,800. To win the Triple Crown is only plus 145.
I don't think he's going to hit 400 for the season.
I don't either. I that would be
ridiculous.
Yes, ridiculous.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Overwhelming demand, the Summer of '99 Tour returns. July 27th, FedEx Forum. With very special guest, Daughtry. And Mammoth. Tickets on sale now at LiveNation.com. Don't miss Creed with Daughtry and Mammoth. The Summer of '99 Tour.
You've seen the Grizz line jamming on the court and rocking out on Beale Street, and this is your chance to join the best drum line in the NBA. Grizz line entertains Grizz Nation at home games and events in the Mid-South through their impressive techniques and energetic shows. If you have experience in drumming and marching and love entertaining, Grizz line is the perfect opportunity for you to combine percussion and performance. Open auditions are Saturday, August 9th at FedEx Forum. Sign up today by visiting grizzlies.com/auditions.
Catch us if you can at Southland Casino Hotel and win your share of up to $1.8 million in free play and prizes. Join us for drawings every Saturday in May, June, and July. Each month, over 900 winners will take home free play or drive off in a new car or motorcycle. Be there for all 6 grand finale drawings and try to catch us if you can, only at Southland Casino Hotel. Must be 21 up. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Welcome back, Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South. That's beautiful downtown Memphis. I'm in Stamford, Connecticut for CBS Sports HQ. We were talking about it yesterday with Vernon. Like, this is where a lot of television gets done for tax purposes, I gather. But like, when I look out my window, like right here, it's like the big WWE corporate building.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, I think that's where Vince McMahon broke a lot of laws.
I think that's fair to assume.
I think Vince McMahon broke a bunch of laws about 800 yards from me.
Probably so.
Just right. I can't see inside the windows of the WWE building right now, but I bet you, oh man, if those walls could talk, you know?
There's some stories to tell. Yep.
If those walls could talk, man, I bet you some wild stuff's going down in that office building. I should walk over there someday and just knock on the door and see what they're up to over there. But I haven't done that yet. So I'm in Stamford, Connecticut. I'll be in studio again tonight, and then I'll be traveling back. Just like Mike Wallace did today, I'll be traveling back tomorrow to Memphis International. Let's wrap this show up with GP's Carryout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we learn today?
A whole bunch of stuff, but we mostly focused on the 2025 NBA draft, where the Grizzlies last night moved up from 16 to number 11 to select Cedric Coward, the 6'6" guard from Washington State. Incredible story. I told it to you in the opening segment. 6'6", 7'2" wingspan. Didn't make his high school varsity team till he was a junior. Couldn't get a Division I offer coming out of high school. Started his career at Division III. Transferred to Eastern Washington. Then transferred to Washington State, but only played 6 games before suffering a shoulder injury that required surgery. And yet still, despite not even playing a basketball game in 7 months, he did enough in the pre-draft process, both on the court and in the interviews, to convince the people that he was among the elite prospects in this draft and worthy of going up to number 11 to get. Why did the Grizzlies give up 2 first-round picks and 2 seconds to get Cedric Coward at number 11? Because they did not believe accurately that he was going to be available at 16, and this is the young person that they wanted to add to this franchise. Some draft analysts have literally gone on record and said, outside of Cooper Flagg, this is the player I would have wanted from the 2025 NBA draft. Doesn't mean they're right. It just means that this is something that some people have said. If I can't have Cooper Flagg out of this draft, yeah, Dylan Harper's nice, VJ Edgecombe's nice, Ace Bailey is nice, Con Knipple's nice. I would want Cedric Coward over all of them. Obviously, that's not a consensus opinion because he didn't go second, he went 11th. But incredible reputation, impressive all the way around. The Grizzlies added somebody people really think highly of, both on and off the court, with the 11th pick last night, and can't wait to get him downtown.
What's today's biggest game?
I'm taking you back to the WNBA. The Connecticut Sun let you down last night.
Did they? I didn't even get a chance to lower. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention.
They lost by like 50. You better be glad you weren't paying attention.
Damn.
They got embarrassed last night. I don't know what's going on with the Connecticut Sun.
Yeah, they're down bad. That's 7 in a row.
I've never been more disappointed in a WNBA franchise in my life. I mean, they were finished 3rd in the standings last season. Now they can't beat anybody, getting beat by 40. Embarrassing. Embarrassing. Where's your heart at? A joke. It's a joke. It's a joke what that franchise has become.
Mm-hmm.
It's a joke.
It is. Someone should do something about it.
I think you're supposed to do this when you really want to make sure people understand it's a joke. The Connecticut Sun were a thorn in the Indiana Fever's side just last season, finished 3rd in the league standings. But what that franchise has become, it's a joke. I mean, it's a joke.
I'm sick of it.
It's a joke.
All right, where are we going tonight?
I'm taking you to Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Okay.
We're in downtown Indianapolis. It's the Sparks and the Fever. But Caitlin Clark is not playing tonight. She has a soft tissue injury.
Does this explain the mini slump?
I think it has to on some level.
Does this explain the mini slump? Perhaps.
You know, Caitlin and I don't like to make excuses. You know that. But could this explain the mini slump? Is that what you're asking?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Caitlin and I do not like to make excuses. But could this explain the mini slump? Yes, I think so.
Okay.
She's out tonight, soft tissue injury. So the Fever at home are only favored by 5.5 points. The total is 166.5. 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central on Prime Video. You can stream it on Prime Video. Congrats to the happy couple, Jeff and Lauren. I gather they're tying the knot. So congratulations to them. You can watch a basketball game that doesn't feature Caitlin Clark tonight on their streaming service. How are you going to act?
Well, what's up with the Sparks? And this is the first meeting of the two teams this season, by the way.
Of course, but it's still early.
And the Sparks going to make that big move for Kelsey Plum. It has not worked out. They're 4-11. Cam Brink's still out with the injury. I'll go.
Kelsey Plum is averaging 20 points per game, Bennett.
No,
but,
she's playing well. She's playing well. I'm going to go.
She's playing well. I mean, if I'm being honest, I would like these shooting percentages to get up a little bit. Only 38% from the field, only 33.7% from three-point range. That is not the Kelsey Plum I grew up with. That's not the Kelsey Plum I grew up with. You know, I remember back in 2018 where she was 44% from three-point range. Now, listen, she's 30 years old now, so this is, hey, age is undefeated, right?
Fair.
Father time
Yeah.
is undefeated. So is mother time. But it's just, I lived in a world where Kelsey Plum was shooting above 43% from three-point range consistently. And to now see her struggle more than 10 percentage points lower than that, it's just, I guess I knew it would always happen, but it doesn't mean I was prepared to watch it.
She's still one of my favorite players in the league. I'm going
Of
Sparks.
course, yes.
I'm going Sparks. Sparks, light the spark. Let's get this thing back on track.
Get it back on track. Sparks tonight, +5.5 against the Fever on the road. You can watch it 6 o'clock, Amazon Prime.
What are we watching on TV?
Can I interest you in the waterfront?
The waterfront, possibly. What's going on? I was on the waterfront over the weekend.
How'd you like it?
It was nice. I love being next to water.
I know, but was it too hot to be outside?
We had a pool. It was all good.
We played golf Sunday morning, and I thought I was going to die. Like, it was uncomfortable. Like, to the point where I don't know if the temperatures are going to be the same this weekend, I don't know that I would want to go. Like, when I went to take my golf shirt off, it was not like just sweaty. It was like heavy.
Yeah.
Because there was so much sweat in it. It was a heavy shirt.
Yeah. I went for a bike ride yesterday and almost passed out. I started seeing stars.
Did you put your helmet on? Bennett, I don't want you out there riding without a helmet. People die that way. I can send you 50 videos of people dying in accidents without helmets on. 50 right now. I bookmark them.
I have a helmet. I have a helmet.
You're going to die.
I have a helmet.
You're going to die. It's going to be the Gary Parrish Show with CJ Hurt.
I mean, I have a helmet. Just sometimes you forget.
Yeah. You know who used to say that? Person who died in a car accident with no seatbelt on.
Yeah.
I had a seatbelt, but sometimes you just forget. Great, now you're dead. Now you're dead. Your kids are growing up without a father.
Yeah. They're just so dorky.
Your kids or helmets?
No, helmets.
Oh yeah, well that's awesome. When I'm comforting your children, trying to be a father figure for them, I'll say, yeah, I did talk to your father about how important it was for him to take care of himself so that he would be here for you and your mother, but he said he didn't want to look like a dork.
Don't you think, though, when you see like someone out riding their bike and they're wearing a helmet, like what's the first thing that pops in your head?
Look at that nerd.
Thanks. I'm self-conscious about that. Like, I mean, dude, I should probably put the helmet on. You're right. Like, why care? Who cares? Yeah,
Who cares?
Who cares?
I mean, if you're gonna wear that beard, who cares?
Just wear the helmet. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe I will. Maybe I will.
Hey, if you're gonna walk around with that beard every day, I don't know why you're so worried about a helmet.
But I just know someone's gonna be like, look at that dork.
I mean, yes, you will look like a dork, but you also won't die.
Okay. I'll consider it on my next ride.
Would you rather be cool and dead? Let's learn something about you. Would you rather be cool and dead? Would you rather be James Dean? Or would you rather be not cool but alive? Like me. Who do you want to be, me or James Dean?
James Dean's cool.
Who do you want to be, me or James Dean? You could be cool and dead like James Dean, or not cool and alive like me. Who you want to be?
I like James Dean. He is cool.
I like James Dean too.
Yeah, he was really cool. Rest in peace.
You know, he might have had it figured out. Just be cool as shit for 20-something years.
A couple years, yeah, and you're remembered forever.
Yeah, just be cool as shit for a few years, and then just get out of here.
Yeah, your legacy is cool guy.
Yeah,
like when people
shit,
say who's the coolest guy ever, James Dean's probably somewhere on that list.
Yeah, and I ain't trying to ruin it for you, but just this doesn't get better,
Right. Would we be saying that about 80-year-old James Dean? I don't think so.
No, it doesn't get better. It doesn't get better. I understand, the longer I live, my life will just get progressively worse. My life is going to get worse from this point forward. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe James Dean had it figured out. I'm just going to be cool as shit for a few years, and then I'm going to get out of here. Let everybody else have arthritis.
Okay, I'll put the helmet on, but I ain't wearing the spandex shit. I ain't doing all that. That you lose me there.
Okay. I'll meet you in the middle. I'll meet you where you're at.
Yeah.
Put a helmet on, protect your stupid head, but you don't have to put the spandex on, which I think is good for everybody. I think that's good for everybody.
Okay. I'll think about it. Lot to think on. What is Waterfront?
Waterfront.
Yeah, what's going on?
Oh, it's only the #1 new series on Netflix. That's all. Only the #1 new series on Netflix. That's all.
Okay.
That's all the Waterfront is. It dropped last week, and it has moved to #1. 8 episodes in this first season. Here's the description. A prominent North Carolina fishing family wades into treacherous waters to keep their crumbling business empire afloat. Treacherous waters? I like it when people get into treacherous waters.
How do you become a prominent fishing family?
I think the first thing you got to do is buy you a rotten reel.
Yeah, and then get a boat, probably.
I think a boat's going to have to be on the grocery list somewhere, but it starts with a rod and reel. Maybe get you some crickets.
Yeah.
Get you some crickets. Get you some worms. I mean, I don't think you could do it overnight. I don't think you go from not owning a rod and reel to being a prominent fishing family. I don't think you could do that overnight. But every great journey starts with the first step. I think the first step is you got to get you a rod and reel, probably some crickets.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, these fellas here, they became a prominent North Carolina fishing family, and now they've decided to wade into some treacherous waters. I tell you, that's a good place to start a show with some people in some treacherous waters.
Right.
I like that.
I like that too.
I don't recognize any of these actors. None of these people.
How is it #1?
I don't know.
The Waterfront. I've never heard of this.
It's a crime drama. It was created by Kevin Williamson. Let's see what else Kevin Williamson has done. Let's see if we can trust his previous work.
Oh, dude, he wrote Scream.
Dude wrote Scream, Bennett.
And Scream 2 and Scream 4.
And I Know What You Did Last Summer.
He's a legend.
This guy's a legend.
Yeah, he's a legend in my book.
This guy's a legend.
Shout out Kevin Williamson.
I need to apologize to Kevin Williamson. I was
unfamiliar with your work, Kev.
I was unfamiliar with your work. I mean, I'm very familiar with your work. I was unfamiliar with your name. This guy's a legend.
Yeah, dude.
Now he's writing about a prominent North Carolina fishing family in treacherous waters. Come on, bring it, Bennett.
Shout out to you, Kev. I'm a big fan.
Look at that.
I'm a big fan.
Okay,
love Scream. I love the franchise. Yes.
Can I interest you in the Waterfront? Okay.
Yes.
Let's watch the Waterfront. I'm going to download the Waterfront. I'm going to watch the Waterfront.
Okay. Sounds good.
You think Drew Barrymore gets stabbed in the first scene?
Okay. Spoiler alert. God.
Oh, my God.
That's like the whole point of the damn movie.
Everybody knows Drew Barrymore got stabbed. You don't have to spoiler alert that at this point.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it by now, that's on you.
Yeah. Rocky and Apollo end in a draw. And Drew Barrymore got stabbed.
She did.
All right. Shouts to Kevin Williamson. We're going to watch The Waterfront. It's on Netflix right now.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
All right.
What's the best thing we've read?
I told you Matt Norlander's story on Cedric Coward that published last week was excellent. It's not a 75,000-minute read. It doesn't even feel like that. I'm joking around. It's like a 24-minute read if you look at the little thing on the website. It doesn't take you that long, and it's very, very good. If you want to learn about the young man that the Grizzlies just spent the 11th pick on, that is the best place to do it. Go find that story. I tweeted it last night. It's also at cbssports.com.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow will be Friday, so we'll look back at round 2 of the 2025 NBA draft. The Grizzlies have 2 picks. Will they execute both? Will they execute one? If so, who do they land? We don't know the answers right now, but we should have them by tomorrow morning. So looking forward to that. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll enjoy mine. Meet back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Rep your hood.